So to create the front view here, 3/4, we start the exact same way by making an ellipse and put out the end point of the front, which is going to be somewhere around here. I use this line as a center line right now. And what we want to do next is put out the wheels, just as we did right here. So I'm putting out the rear wheel first. And then I'm putting out the front wheel. Not perfect at all, but it doesn't really matter. And from here, we want to create the hood. And I'm using this ellipse now as a guide to everything I'm doing. And same thing here, we have the ellipse here at the base, and the hood is sticking out a bit. You want to do the same thing here. So from here, we want to add the greenhouse, which is going to start somewhere here. We want a long hood because it's a sports car, and we want a low hood that's going to end somewhere around here. So we need to connect those dots. And as I've said before, if you make any mistakes, you can always adjust as you go, just as I did right here. Because I saw that this window is not wide enough, so I needed to make it wider. And now we want to connect this line, this dot, top of the wheel with the end of the car, with the rear of the car. From here we want to create the other part of the hood, the R side of the hood, which is going to look something like that, and create a window as well. So here now we have the basic proportions of our car, and we can use this as a guide to continue to design our car. For example, make the front fascia how we want it to look like. We can make it baseline first. So baseline is going to be somewhere around here. And create the headlights, for example. And I'm starting to think about the line weight already. And make the headlight in perspective on this side. And from here we can create the center point again, or center line, just to help us control the sketch and help us understand where everything is going to go, because it can be quite difficult after a while. And from here, we decide ourselves how we want this car to be designed and what we want it to look like. Because everything else is in place. We have the proportions of the car, we have the wheel base, and all we got to do now is just put out the wheels. It might sound easy. It is easy once you've done it a few times and you practice this. It becomes really easy to get the basic proportions down, and then we can start with after that, I mean, you start with the fun part, which is to design the car and put out the different kind of aspects of the design and features that you want to put on here. So some rear mirrors, sorry. And I'm gonna define the front a bit more. Maybe this can be an air intake down here. Looks pretty cool. And let's make a light bulb, or one of these HID with some LEDs in here, because every single car seems to have them nowadays. I think Audi I think was the first one who started the whole LED craziness with their R8, which back then was insane. It was really cool. I remember first time I saw the R8, blew my mind with those lights. But now it seems like every single car just has some bling in the front. We can put out the door line here, the cut line for the door, because that's gonna help understand the shape of the side. Because we made it go out here and then down, which means that there is a shoulder here, and the shoulder line ends right here. Same thing here, shoulder. Now I understand if this is going a bit too fast, totally understand that. And if there's something that's not clear, just ask me the question or the time in the lecture. Just write down the minutes, and I can explain exactly what it is I mean in that specific time. Because it can be a bit much just learning all of this at once. Yeah, we can make some black part, plastic part down here. Define the wheels a bit more, or the wheel arches, I should say. And right now I'm just playing around with the line weight and defining the final design as I want it to be, because everything else is already done. I want to put out the horizon line just as we did with the rear view and shade that. Really fast. And some line weight to this part down here to give it some weight on the paper. So yeah, that's one way of sketching cars using what I call cloud sketching, which helps out a lot. It's a simple technique, which is basically you get the proportions down first. That's the only thing you should focus on first. The proportions of your product, the geometries of the product, and then you put those down in the simplest form. This could even be, this started as an ellipse. It could even be, you could probably make two cubes in perspective if you wanted to as well, to visualize the main body right here as a cube, and then you can make another small cube sticking out here, and then start to define the design and the outline of the car or product you're sketching. And from there, when you have the proportions down, that's the hard part. That's the part where either you get it right, or if you continue from there, the sketch might look a bit weird if the proportions are off. But if you have the proportions down, getting the details, that's the easy part. So let's continue with one final car sketch, and now let's do it in side view.